If you remember, the motto of today's workshop was how to be a good neighbor, how to be a responsible neighbor. And we extended the definition of a neighbor to not only include the line-side inhabitant, but rather also to include all stakeholders that were involved. You had the experience of seeing what it is like to be a different stakeholder. And so that was the purpose of our group discussions back there. Now, what did I learn? One thing that I learned was that everybody has the same aim. I think we want an economically viable railway that is as silent as possible. And so far, I think we can agree. But in this structure that we are in all people that are involved, everybody has another aspect that they have to look at, another stakeholder that they have to consider in all of this, and a conflict of aims. And so if I remember the discussion, for example, if I'm a policymaker, I don't only look at policy at noise, but I have to see the legislative framework that I operate in. I have to look at the use of public funds, for example. I have to set priorities between different issues that I want to regulate. Or if I am a supplier, I have to make a business case for the product that I want to sell. I mean, I can't make my company go bankrupt, but also I have a lot of different specifications that I have to try to look at the same time. If I'm a line-side resident, I also cannot just want noise and nothing else, because I have to see what the effects of, for example, a noise barrier is on my neighborhood. I mean, I remember 30 years ago when we built one of our very first noise barriers. And we were quite proud of the fact that we had built this noise barrier. But 3 days later, we received a letter in the mail with a very shaky handwriting from a very old man who's pleaded with us, please take that barrier down. It is destroying my view to a tree on the other side of the track. And you have to imagine, we took away one of his last joys, if you will. So line-side residents also have a conflict of aims. In research, you can't just only look at noise. You have to make sure that the quality of your research is good enough so that you can get published, so that it is scientifically valid. You have to make sure that you have financing. That was an important issue that was discussed. That you can finance your laboratory, that you can finance your staff. Then the operators, they can't only think about noise. They have to make sure that their vehicles are reliable, that they're energy efficient, that they can adhere to a timetable, etc. So noise is only one of their issues. And finally, infrastructure managers, there also you cannot only look at noise, you have to look at LCCs, at investment costs, at diagnostics, at maintenance, and all sorts of other issues that you have to look at the same time. So what we actually have is this whole big complex picture of different relations. And one could say, this is too complicated. It can never be done. Everybody just has their self-serving interest in all of this. Why bother? I personally have a more optimistic point of view in all of this. And I think that if we actually look at all of these different perspectives, we can come up with a better solution. So I think the purpose of today was to try to make you aware of the other stakeholders' point of view, to respect their point of view. And by doing that, by working together, we can come up, I think, with better solutions in all of this. So that was kind of the idea of today's workshop. And if I think about all of this change of perspective that we have talked about all day today, it reminds me of an incident that happened a few years ago. And at SBB Infrastructure, not everybody is allowed to go on the track. You need a certain permission, and that permission is granted by taking a series of courses, for example. But at any rate, at that point in time, I did not have that permission to go on the track. But still, I was standing on one side of the track, and a friend of mine was standing on the other side of the track, and I wanted to go talk to him. And so I called over the track and said, how can I get to the other side? And his answer was, you already are on the other side. And And so with those words, I would like to conclude today's workshop. And now please come here and we'll have a picture.